This video covers drawing and dimensioning rooms, both simple and complicated. By the end of the video, you will have learned to tackle pretty much any shape you encounter. Many of the shapes you wish to draw will probably be quite simple, for instance, rectangles and L shapes. Drawing and dimensioning these is very straightforward, and you have probably had practice already. In this video, we will look at how to draw and dimension rooms which are more complex. If you know the tools at your disposal, you will also find these rooms straightforward. We will look at the following tools: dimensioning from one wall to another, aligning two walls, for example, where a fireplace separates what is actually one common wall, dimensioning where there are diagonal walls, making dimensions variable which have already been given a dimension, and zooming in on a complex part of a room to see the wood from the trees. First of all, we will draw a simple shape. To do this, click with your mouse in the place you want to begin drawing, and then move your mouse to the right. When you reach the corner, click with your mouse and move it down. The click that you do at each corner is a normal click, i.e. the mouse button goes down and is then immediately released. So when you're moving the cursor to show the next wall, the mouse button is therefore in the up position. Click again and move your mouse to the right, and then click again and move it up. Click again and move it to the right. Click again and move it down. Click again and move it to the left, and finally click again and move your mouse up until you cross the line where you began. Once the two lines have crossed, click with the mouse and the shape will close. As you know, if you don't manage to cross the first side with the last, you just click on the Close button to complete the space. At this point, all the walls are red, meaning that they haven't yet been dimensioned. If you get a reminder about adding doors, just say that the space doesn't have a door because this video isn't about doors. Now we're going to dimension our shape. The most usual dimensioning operation is to enter the length of a wall. We click on the wall to highlight it. Its current freehand length is shown here, and we can use the keypad here to enter a value of, say, 3 meters, and then when I click OK, the wall changes to the value we have just entered and goes blue. The blue records that this is a measurement we have entered. For this entry, we have used the on-screen keypad, but we could have alternatively used a normal keyboard, where we would enter the 3, then a full stop for the decimal point, and then 0. We would then hit the return key. For future measurements in this video, we will be using the normal keyboard for dimension entry. Before we continue with our dimensions, we want to make these two walls a common wall, i.e. the 3-meter wall and wall E are actually separate parts of the same wall. We could do this by entering each measurement manually, but we are going to use the Align Walls operation. This way, the system will deduce more measurements for us automatically. To align these walls, click on the 3-meter wall, and then click on the Align Walls button on the toolbar, and then click on wall E. You will see that there are now 2 blue double arrowheads, one on the 3-meter wall and one on wall E. This tells us that the walls have now been aligned and will stay in alignment as we put in further measurements. In a similar manner, you can do a wall-to-wall measurement, for instance, between walls C and G. To do this, click on wall C, then click on wall-to-wall, and then click on wall G. A dotted straddle dimension line will appear. This is indicating the dimension you want to enter. enter a measurement of 2.5 metres here, and you will see that the 2.5 metre measurement is now shown here. The ability to do a wall-to-wall measurement provides valuable flexibility and is unique to this system. Now we can start entering the rest of the measurements. Enter wall B as 2 metres. You will notice that the system is already deducing some of the other measurements for us. It has deduced this wall. Deduced walls are shown in pink because it knows that this is the same as this wall, since you aligned the two walls earlier. It has also deduced these two walls because it has added together the wall-to-wall measurement that you entered earlier and this 2 metre measurement here. Now enter the measurement for wall C as 2 metres and wall G as 7 metres. Again, you will see that this wall has now become deduced as well. By deducing all the dimensions that can be deduced, the space you draw is always a valid shape. Having a record of which dimensions you have entered is also valuable because you can use the pink deduced ones as check measurements. Some systems don't have this scheme, and on these systems, when you amend a dimension, it may alter another dimension that you have input, i.e. a blue one. But you don't realise this and a mistake can result. With this system, the only dimensions that can alter without you saying so are pink ones, so you know where you stand. I suggest you pause the video at this point and have a go yourself using this screenshot as a guide. You pause the video by clicking on this button here, and you continue playing the video by clicking on this button here. You can also drag the slider back and then click the play button to repeat what you've just heard. Now we're going to do a series of examples to show you how to handle spaces with diagonal sides. We will select to redraw this space. To do this, click on Delete Room or Space and choose to redraw it. Your original drawing has now been deleted and you're ready to start drawing your space again. So, start drawing your space in the same way as before by clicking and moving the mouse to draw your lines. We're going to stop halfway down the wall this time and draw a diagonal line by moving the mouse off center. Say we move to the left like this as though we want to draw a new straight wall. But then if we move the mouse downwards off the line, the system eventually recognises that we want to draw a diagonal, like so. Click with the mouse where the diagonal wall ends, and then continue to draw the rest of the space as before. Cross the two lines, and when you click, your shape will close. Now we're going to enter measurements for our space. The general rule is to enter the measurements for all of the straight walls first. This way, the system will often deduce the measurements and slope of a diagonal wall for you. Firstly, I am going to align walls A and E. This way, the system will begin to deduce measurements for us straight away. Now, enter the measurement for wall A as 2 metres and wall B as 1.5 metres. Again, notice that the system has begun deducing measurements for you already. Now enter the measurement for wall C as 2 metres. Enter wall E also as 2 metres. And then enter wall F as 4 metres and wall K as 6 metres. The diagonal wall has an up dimension and an across dimension. You can see the up measurement has been deduced. Now enter wall J as 4 metres and notice that the system has deduced the across dimension and both the slope and length of the diagonal wall. Our space is now fully dimensioned. In this case, we didn't have to put in any dimensions for the diagonal. They all got deduced. But let's just say we had left this straight wall as variable. We will make it variable by using this button here. You can see it's gone red again. We can now see that the up dimension associated with the diagonal is deduced, but the across dimension is variable, and the length of the diagonal itself is variable. In this situation, the length of the diagonal itself can be input thus. We will put in a dimension of 4.5 meters. You can see that the system is able to take this entry and adjust its slope to match. A diagonal length is always easy to measure, so you should aim to get either the up dimension or across dimension associated with the diagonal deduced pink, so that you can then enter the diagonal length itself. Prior to the up or across becoming deduced, the system doesn't know how to slope the diagonal, so it won't accept an entry of just the diagonal length. I suggest you pause the video at this point and have a go yourself using this screenshot as a guide. Now that you have seen how to draw and dimension a single diagonal wall, we are going to draw a space with two diagonal walls. So first we need to delete and redraw our space. So click on the delete button on the toolbar and choose to redraw the space. For this example, we are going to explicitly change the way in which the lines are drawn on screen, changing from the straight lines tool to a diagonal lines tool where necessary. Now, start drawing your space in the same way as before by clicking and moving the mouse to draw the walls. Click halfway down the wall and then click on this straight or diagonal button on the toolbar. This tells the system that you want to draw diagonal walls. Move your mouse across the screen, off center, and click where the diagonal edge will be, and then draw another diagonal line like this. Now click on the straight or diagonal button on the toolbar again to change it back to drawing straight lines, and complete your space like this. The straight or diagonal button should be used where there are several diagonal walls in a row, or the diagonal slope is shallow. If there is just a single diagonal at about 45 degrees, then use the Move Offline facility we saw earlier. You will notice this time that the first and last lines haven't crossed. This is fine. Just click on the Close button on the toolbar to close the space. Rather than doing a wall-to-wall measurement, we are going to do a corner-to-wall measurement, using the corner between diagonal walls J and G. Doing corner-to-wall measurements is really useful to help anchor the diagonal walls, so look carefully at how this is done. You right-click with your right-hand mouse button on the corner of these walls. You will see that your cursor gets a circle. Now click on Wall to Wall, and then do a normal left click with the mouse on wall C. You are given a straddle arrow, so enter its measurement as 3.5 meters. Note that the only time you are required to use the right mouse click is when you're doing a corner-to-wall measurement. All the other tasks in the system are performed using the standard left mouse click. Again, I suggest you pause the video at this point and have a go yourself using this screenshot as a guide. Now that we know how to switch from drawing straight lines to drawing diagonal lines, we are going to redraw a rectangular space, which is drawn on the diagonal. This will allow us to illustrate entering both the angle and the length of a diagonal wall. So, select to redraw this space, and before you start drawing, select to change from drawing straight lines to drawing diagonal lines, and then draw the following shape. Click on wall A and say that the angle is known. The bright green guides you to do this. The angle is currently stated at 45 degrees. We actually want it to be at 22.5 degrees, so click on the radio button that gives 22.5 degrees and say that this angle should be to the horizontal wall. Now enter the length of the wall to be 4.5 meters. You will see that the shape changes to accommodate this length and angle. Now we need to enter the angle and length of wall D. Click on wall D and again say that the angle is known. Again click to say that it's 22.5 degrees, but this time say that the angle is from the vertical wall and enter a length of 2 meters. Doing this will ensure that both of these walls are at right angles to each other. Now click on wall G and say that the angle is known. Make the angle 22.5 degrees from the horizontal wall again and make the length 4.5 meters, the same as wall A. And then press enter on the keyboard. You will notice that this wall has been deduced for you. Note that you can actually put in any angle by typing it in here, but usually buildings will be at 45 degrees or one of the other options. I suggest you pause the video at this point and have a go at this yourself using this screenshot as a guide. Putting in a diagonal wall length and its angle should generally be seen as a last resort, because you often won't know accurately what the angle is. But if the diagonal dimensions don't fall out by approaching the dimensioning as guided earlier in the video, then it's a useful fallback tool to have available. Okay, so now we've covered doing diagonal walls, quite easy once you know how to approach them. We will finish this video by looking at a couple of other useful features. Sometimes, when the shape morphs as you put dimensions in, you get into a situation where one variable wall becomes very short. For instance, if I have this shape here and enter this dimension as a lot larger, you can see that it has left this one all squashed up. It's difficult to click on a very short wall, but we can use the box zoom to zoom in on the bit we want to see. You select the box button here and then click at the top left of the area you want to zoom in on. Keep your mouse button down and drag to the bottom right corner of the area you want to zoom in on. When you let go of the mouse button, you will see that the screen has zoomed in to show just that boxed area. Now the wall is long enough for me to click on, so we can dimension it at, say, 2 meters. Now to see the whole space again, we click on the All button. This makes all of the space visible again, so we can continue dimensioning. Again, I suggest you pause the video at this point and have a go at box zoom yourself, using this screenshot as a guide. Note that a wall will normally only become all squashed up if the freehand shape you draw is a lot different from its required size. So if you get the freehand drawing about the right size, dimensioning will be easier. You can do this by choosing the screen zoom before you start drawing. For instance, if I choose this one here, it sets the scale to be 16 meters for the whole horizontal length of the screen. So if I have a space to draw which is 20 meters long, I should choose this 25 meter length, and then I know my freehand drawing will be about the right size from the start. Another useful feature for a complex shape is to have a reference wall and do a set of running measures from this reference wall. For instance, with this complex shape here, I might say this wall is the reference wall. I can declare this is what I want by dragging on this reference wall designator. Now you see that straddle dimensions have automatically been drawn from this reference wall to all the other walls which need them. I can now dimension this straddle with the running measures. I can also drop a reference side for the other direction thus. Again, I suggest you pause the video at this point and have a go yourself using this screenshot as a guide. We have now come to the end of the video. If you have absorbed all we have seen, then you shouldn't have any problems drawing and dimensioning, however complicated the space is that you are tackling.